Morning, good morning, good morning. How's everybody doing out there? First day back at it. It's been a while. It's been a while. Happy Monday, everybody. Happy Monday. I know some of you are on your way to the job, meeting right now. So if you are, drive careful. Thank God is Monday. Thank God it's Monday. Thank God it's Monday. Just a thought before we get started. This is also September 11th. And I'm curious if you remember where you were. I was having some conversations with a few friends of mine yesterday, and randomly the conversation just started. Where were you on 9/11? What were you doing? And the craziest part, we were all trying to either, one friend was in the doctor's office with his newborn baby. I was trying to get on a military base, and another friend, he had just gotten married and he was they're starting their honeymoon out. Weird how life one thing can happen in life and it affects us in so many different ways. And I think that's kind of what life is most of the time. We have these experiences, we have these things that happen. Sometimes they're setbacks, sometimes they're wins. I don't like the word losses a lot because I don't really think there isn't many losses that we actually take. Most time the L is a lesson. And so who am I? Let's go and get it started. I know if you watching, you probably already know who I am, but just in case you don't, my name is Jamon Glover, and I am a personal and family development coach. Been doing it for quite a few years. My previous career, still moonlight just a little bit, freelance videographer, production specialist. Basically, I do a little bit of everything. Anything from running a teleprompter to lights to camera op to editing. A lot of things that I used to do, but live streaming is something that is very new to me. You see me looking because I have a bunch of screens going on right now. So, what's the first thing I want to do? Oh, let's throw up for you driving and those who don't know me. This is my name, Jamon Glover, and I have been in the space of parenting and family since 2013. I'm certified as a parent coach, also as a fatherhood coach. Been speaking for a few years now. I joined a great organization called Toastmasters, and Toastmasters really helped me get my speech together. I had a really bad stuttering problem when I was a kid, and I talked really fast. It was ugly for a while there, but Toastmasters really helped me out, and because of them, I've been able to launch a beginner speaking company, coaching company. The coaching company and the speaking company go hand in hand. And so I just want to do a quick check just before I get going too deep. Can you hear me? Can my audio sounds good? I'm hoping that it does. If it does, give me a thumbs up in the chat so I can see. If you can, you're driving, don't worry about it. I believe it's going out. It looks like it's going out, but I ain't want to be doing a whole bunch of talking and come to find out nothing was being recorded. That would be a little weird. But anyways, let's kind of get into today's topic. What is this channel about? What is this morning motivation about? Well, as a personal and family development coach, one of my goals is to help people get from a place of where they are to where they want to be. But that involves doing a lot of the deep work. I'm not a psychologist or a therapist. I want to put that disclaimer out there. I'm not a counselor. It's not really what I do. I don't go into the scientific things, but it's more the everyday things that kind of you wouldn't think about unless you bounce it off a friend. You know, I'm not only I'm married. I have children. I'm a grandfather now. I'm a pawpaw, just to get it right. I'm a pawpaw, and so I've lived a lot of life, and I've made a lot of mistakes. I've grown. I've learned. I've excelled. I've lived the whole human spectrum. And so this channel is pretty much, especially this part of the channel, the morning motivation, it's something to kind of give you something to think about on your way to work that maybe starts your day off a little bit better. But I'll warn you, we will talk about some deep things that may be a little, for some, welcoming, and for others, may not want to think about it. Because the older I get, the more I realize there are people in the world who don't like to reflect on life. They want to just focus on today and move forward, and there's nothing wrong with that. However, the only problem is you keep running into hurdles, and you can't figure out why you can't get past these hurdles. And then there's other people who love to reflect, but they get stuck in the past, reliving those same experiences over and over and over again. And so, one thought that I really had when I was considering doing this was, am I truly the person that should be doing it? Should a therapist be doing it? But I have so many conversations on a daily basis with people, and I'm doing the exact same thing. So why not expand it, make it a little bit bigger? Let's increase the brand, because this is what I want to do pretty much for the rest of my life. I just want to speak. I just want to coach. I just want to write books. Really, is all I want to do for the rest of my life. So why not do it now? So here we are. And so for today, I want to talk about something really quick. And a lot of it has to do with why we come up short. Why we Let me rephrase the question. Let me make it a question. Have you ever worked really, really hard on something, accomplished things that you never thought you would accomplish, gotten in spaces that people said you couldn't get into, and you get to a point where you start to feel accomplished? You have all of these accolades, all of these other things going beside you that says, I am who I say I am. But yet you still find yourself lacking or miserable or not sure what life was or is going to be for you. Have you ever seen or felt unfulfilled by the career that you chose, or you got into a relationship and now it's not as good as you thought it was going to be? You thought it was something different in the beginning, but apparently this person changed, or this person isn't who you thought they were. And so in football terms, when you're going for this first down and you are 3 inches short, the ref holds his hands up and says, "Nope, came up short." And so that happens to so many of us in life. We come up short, and we don't quite understand why that is. Well, I've had some recent things well, not even recent, over the past few years. There's been some things that I just found funny, and then it smacked me in the face when I tried to do something and I came up short. And then that trauma, I'm gonna call it, followed me the rest of my life because it confirmed a story. Let me just get into it. I'm not sure how long these morning streams are going to be before we go. I'm not sure of the days just yet, but more than likely, it's probably going to be Monday and Monday. I'm trying to go 2 days a week, so Monday and Wednesday. Those of you who are early before we get into the topic too deep, 8 a.m. may not be the time because I have to be out the house a lot of times before 8 a.m. I have to be somewhere by 8 a.m. So it's going to vary. So make sure you click the subscribe and the notifications button, but also like the video, and thanks for the likes who already done it. So keep those, check those buttons so you can keep up with what's going on and how we're streaming. So I want to go back about 20 something years when I was coming out of high school. I was a wrestler, and I was a pretty good wrestler. Hadn't done it long, didn't really take it serious. But I had an incident my senior year in high school where I could not finish playing the football season. Only got about 3 games in, I think. And my mom was dealing with breast cancer at the time, and so I stopped. I picked up another job as a senior in high school, and I had work. I had a work study thing, kind of early release program where I got out of school at 1. So from like 1 to 4, I would go to this job where I would load trucks, leave there, come back to football practice, leave football practice, go to my other job a couple of nights a week where I was a waiter at a country club. And so that was my life my senior year. And me and the coach didn't vibe on why I was missing so much time. And so my football career ended that year. And so only thing I had left was wrestling. And so I took it very seriously at that point. And I wrestled all year, battled through injuries, had a fractured sternum. And I mean, I went through a lot. But by the time I got to the end of the year, my record was 32 and 2. 32 and 2. Going into regionals, win number 1 seed in regionals, beat the previous year's regional champ. And so now I'm headed to states. Now, I'm going to pause for a second. When you are used to winning and you've been winning all your life, your self esteem is high. You don't have many cares in the world outside of how can I keep winning. But on the other side of the coin, when you've always seemed to have made those losses in life that I don't like using that word, when you've had nothing but losses in your life, you you get adjusted to that. And then it starts to feel really strange when people start cheering you on, rooting for you. Now all these hopes and expectations fall on you. That was my story. I had taken a lot of unfair turns in life that I had nothing to do with, but it had put me on a trajectory that I was always losing. I felt like I was always losing. And then wrestling became a real thing for me. And now I'm a winner. Everybody's patting me on the back. The newspaper's writing articles about me. Now, remind you, I'd already lost football. That was a major blow to the person I thought I was trying to become, this star athlete. And so all I have is wrestling. And I'd never gotten that far before because I'd only wrestled really previously 1 year. And I got an invite to regionals, but I didn't take it serious. So I chose to work and go on a date instead of going to regionals. And so I didn't see what it would look like, but I won regionals anyway. But there was something about going in the States, and I saw this arena filled with wrestling mats, people wall to wall, people patting me on the back, looking at me in awe because I'm the number 1 seed. And I hate to say this, but the moment I stepped on the mat, I forgot how to wrestle. I literally forgot how to wrestle. I had to wrestle the 16 seed because I was the number 1. This guy, I don't know who was more shocked, him or me, that I didn't pin him early, that I didn't even beat him. His coach, the arena was silent because most of the people in there, at least a quarter to a third of those people there had seen me wrestle, and I was the odds-on favorite to win this state championship. I don't want to relive it, so I'm okay with it now. And so when I got home, I heard people saying, "Oh man, you choked, man, you choked. What happened?" And it wasn't that I choked. It was this: the image that I had of myself was being shattered by what the world, well, how the world saw me. So the world's perception of me didn't meet my perception of me. And so I found a way to make the world come down to where I was. So I think that's the problem. That's the number one reason why people fail. It's the self image that they have. How many times have we seen lottery winners? They win this jackpot, what, $100 million, $50 million, $500,000. And inside of a year, most of them, they're back down to the level that they think they're supposed to be at. It's subconscious. The mind's job is to keep us safe, to make us comfortable. And so we can only fake it for so long before we blow up a relationship, before we flake out in a job, or before we start quitting the things that we think we claim that we love to do. Yeah, mind is a powerful thing, Jermaine. You're right about that, brother. You're right about that. And and so I think that's a huge problem with what's going on and with me. And it took me years of failing first off, not succeeding in the previous businesses, not succeeding in previous relationships, my early failures as a parent. I mean, all these things, the losses started stacking up. And then one day, there was no one particular thing that made me think differently, but I started seeing it in other places, in other people, and I'd laugh. Matter of fact, y'all remember the movie Talk to Me? It was about Petey Green, the DJ that was in DC back in the day during the civil rights struggle, and I think Don Cheadle played his part, and Taraji P. That's right. Talk to me, Petey. That's the one. And yeah, man, I would do the positive self talk, and I found it still empty to a certain point because my negative mind was constantly overriding, and I would say stuff like, "Oh man, bro, I suck. Man, I cannot get this joint right." But then I would say, "Oh no, I'm blessed and heavily favored. I'm the head, not the tail," and it would sound good, but it was nothing behind that. And so in this movie, Peter Green, he was hustling at the pool table, trying to hustle this other black guy. I forget I think it was like partners. He was working for like radio stations. He was trying to get Petey into these other stations because he had an entertaining show. And he was like, "All right, let's bet." So they was betting like maybe $10 a ball, something like that. And they were going and they were shooting. And Petey, he missed a shot. So the guy, he grabbed the pool stick, lined it up, boom, sunk a shot. Boom, sunk another shot. Boom, sunk another shot. And start talking to him. Got all the way down to the ball before the eight ball, and he missed. But I think he did it on purpose, right? So then he increased the price and started talking junk to Peter and said, "All right, what you gonna do?" Y'all know he missed that shot, right? And the words that he said, I found hilarious, but it made me say, huh. He said, "Petey, all that talking, all that bravado is lined up right in front of you, and you still can't sink the eight ball." I was like, "Yo, ooh, ouch." Then it hit me because how many times had I been in that situation? How many times had I been in that position? It was wild. Then 2015, my Carolina Panthers go to the Super Bowl against an old Peyton Manning and tired Denver Broncos defense, so we thought. And my quarterback, Cam Newton, two fumbles, couldn't recover either. And they scored off both of those fumbles. And all Cam had to do was fall on one of them. Were Denver just better? No. We were winning in every category except one, turnovers. We had them in yards. We had them in time possession. I mean, everything. Special teams, just those two errors. And so why did Cam Newton not just fall on the ball? Was his body in an awkward position? Could he not get back to it? Was the moment too big? Or was the defense that good? Could be a whole combination of things, but the point that I'm making is I've seen this so many times in my life that it start, success leave clues, but so does failure. You see all these things happening over and over and over again, and now it starts to make sense. The reason I struggled for so many years with my self-image was because one thing I didn't do, and I like the positive self-talk comment, but it was the gratitude. I started focusing on more of what I didn't have than what I had. I focused more on what I didn't have than what I had. And I was never good enough in my own eyes. I didn't feel worthy because I always felt like people were against me. I was behind the eight ball and I had to prove myself. But what do you do when you no longer have to prove yourself? When you become an adult and you're working and you have family and life is taking on a thing of its own. If you don't do some work, you're going to get stuck in a rut. And that is the worst thing for a human to be, stuck in a rut and just start drifting wherever the wind goes. So the first thing I really started doing outside of getting some therapy too, to kind of help me understand why I was in this repetitive cycle. And so what eventually ended up happening is I torpedoed a lot of things, but I had an awakening. And I'm not going to tell that story today, but I had an awakening and I made a transition and I restarted my life. And in my restart, therapy was a huge, huge thing. Huge thing. In my restart, I got in healthier relationships. I got around a better, or not say better, a more conducive environment to what I wanted to feel, what I wanted to be. Sometimes we find ourselves big fish, small pond. But if you the big fish, there's nobody that you modeling after for real. And I think there's a saying that says if you're the smartest person in your circle, you need to get a new circle. And I found myself in a very comfortable place. But when I removed myself from the environment, when I changed jobs, when I did all of these different things, I discovered one thing. You can't buy enough makeup. You can't get enough haircuts. You can't get the flies, clothes, the cars, everything. It's inside first, then out. If you don't repair what's on the inside, the inner person, if you don't change the habits that run your subconscious mind puts out every day without thinking, if you don't do make steps to correct those issues and those challenges, everything else is cosmetic. There's going to be all kind of flaws and chinks in your armor, and you're going to self-destruct trying to uphold the image that you don't really believe that you are. And so I learned that I had to become the version of myself that I wanted to be, but I had to do it every day through changing my habits, changing my associations. And I'm not saying getting rid of family or friends or bad people. What I'm saying is getting around people who walk a line that I want to walk. Because in order to be the best version of myself, I have to become better. I hate the saying fake it till you make it, because that's not what it's about. Become it. Become what you want to be. Don't fake it. Put in the necessary work to make it happen. And so that's where I found myself on my journey. And so one of the biggest things we've been going for a few minutes now. So one of the biggest things that I really want to talk about is that solution, that how to, if you will. And starting out, especially on a Monday morning, I want to do something a little. Well, it's different for me recording videos, but it's not different as far as what I would do when I talk to my parents or my fathers in my programs. One of the biggest things I asked them in life the first question is always, what do you want? What result do you want? And if you are trying to get a result, but everything that you do in to get that result is no way possible to get you that result, then we have to take a step back and we have to really refocus a few things. So part of this show is going to be not. This is a bunch of backstory story for me because this is episode one. However, there's going to be a flow to this live stream. There's going to be some segments that's going to be a little bit more depth, and there's going to be something that's going to be really fun. So, like I said, like, share, subscribe, click the notification button, do all of that. Thank you for the likes that's come in already, and I just really appreciate where you that you here joining me on this journey because it really is a journey. There are some things, even as a professional, that I can't be in front of the camera and behind the camera at the same time. So I'm managing a whole lot of things over here as I'm getting trying to get my thoughts together. So one of the segments that we're going to have on this show is called gratitudes. Gratitudes. And that's a moment in the show where we just give thanks for where we are. Whether you're on your way to work, whether you sitting in the car right now, whether you eating breakfast, I want you to think about what you have to be grateful for. And in that space of doing that, actually, you know what? Before we do that, there's an image that I want to put up. And I find it really interesting. This is how we are as young people, as children. We see this cat looking in the mirror at a lion. The reflection is a lion because this cat is has ambitions, goals, dreams to be that lion. But then somewhere along the way, that cat grows up. And now, when you're young, people ask you what you want to be when you grow up. And you tell them, you can tell the wildest thing, right? And they'll laugh, they'll agree with you. You can do whatever you put your mind to. But then you hit 18 and you say that same wild thing. Come on, you got to be more realistic now, right? They just start bringing you down. And so what happens as adults, once we get into life, we start seeing this. We're full blown lions looking at each other like cats or as cats. So there's this space in life where that transition happens. Appreciate you, Bobby. Yeah, thank you, babe. And there are spaces in life that life hit us so hard sometimes that we don't fully strive to be that lion because we become the lion. But because of all the L's that we take and we don't learn from them, we start seeing ourselves as kittens. And when we start seeing things as kittens, there's no way we can do what lions do. So yeah, I just wanted to, I forgot left that part out. I really wanted to get that in because it deals with the self-image. And the crazy part is, no matter how great the world sees you, all the beauty, all the skill, the exquisiteness, the greatness that is you, if you don't see it, it don't even matter. And if you feel like a lion, if you feel like a conqueror, if you feel beautiful, if you feel like you could do anything, the world, they might judge you a little bit, but they'll step aside and let you go because they want to see it too. Because most of them are afraid to do it themselves. So, what do you want to be? What do you want the results of your life to be? And so, as we're going right now, going a little longer than I thought we would go. But I want to get into what we call the gratitudes. And this is just we're gonna take a minute and just think about what we're grateful for. I'm gonna do my gratitudes. You can just think about at what I'm saying or say your own while I'm saying it. But I gotta set a little ambiance with that. So I'm gonna drop a little music in here. I'm actually gonna put up a little something different on the screen. I'm not seeing myself. As I think about what I'm grateful for, I'm grateful for life. I'm grateful for being able to wake up in a home. I'm grateful for having a family that cares for me and loves me, a wife that cherishes me, that adores me, friends that respect me. I'm grateful for my children, grandchildren, my parents. I'm grateful that I have health in my body, strength, strength in the arms in my life. Grateful that I still have vitality in my body that I can go out and work and provide for my grateful that I have a skill set and a mindset that allows me to be a productive citizen in the world, but also it allows me to thrive in every situation. I'm grateful that I have you on this stream today. I'm grateful that you tuned in. I'm grateful to just be here. I'm grateful, grateful for being able to have a sound mind. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the space that I occupy. Grateful. So that is what we call the gratitude session. I hope you said some things you were grateful about, and I found out that when you're in your lowest moods, if you start being grateful for where you are in those spaces, you tend to have a better endorphins are released. You tend to have a better mood. Things increase because as humans, we don't really have energy. We create energy. And I know people think I'm call me weird when I say that, but it's so true. I've seen it a thousand times. I've done it a thousand times. When I am in a rut and I stop and I just start visualizing what I want to see happen, whether I'm playing a sport, whether I'm about to give a speech in front of a room full of people, I'll visualize me actually doing it. I visualize them clapping their hands and applauding me afterwards. I'll visualize it. And what I see in my mind happens in my reality. So when I'm dwelling on the negative things, when I'm dwelling on things from the past and I take up a residence there, I get more of the same. I keep attracting those same people. I keep attracting those same situations. And I think if for those of you who are into visualization, it's a technique that athletes use all the time. They see themselves doing it. It's a great tool. We're gonna do probably some conversations on that somewhere down the road, along with some other topics that I'm thinking about right now. But this is pretty much gonna wrap us up for today, ladies and gentlemen. I do want to do one thing that I want. It's gonna be another segment called affirmations. And what is an affirmation? An affirmation is saying, speaking out loud things that you want to see happen. And if it's already happening, then it's not really an affirmation for you, it's reality. But if it hasn't happened yet, you want to speak those things as the old church used to say, call those things that be not as though they were. It's like faith, your faith talk, where you want to be. So gratitudes and affirmations, that's really where we are. So we're gonna do some affirmations. We're gonna get up out of here. And I'm not gonna put a string on. So I learned this technique from a guy named Bob Proctor. God rest his soul, he passed on. But he used to have this thing where he said in the movie The Secret, I am so happy and grateful for that. But I didn't use that. I didn't mind to. I'm so happy and excited that I get to walk into my car. I'm so happy that I get to see my grandchildren graduate. Happy The work that I generate $100,000 a month, that I'm married, the love of my life. We're gonna live and travel the world and see the amazing sights and just enjoy life. I'm so happy, excited to have a successful relationship that I've never known. I'm so happy to watch my children build business, to be able to fund their dreams. I'm so happy that I have families through father, that I can impact thousands of families every year. I'm so happy. Not only do I have the new, but I also have the newer home, which is the condo downtown Charlotte, or the newest home, the one that sits on 50 acres of land, 10-acre pond. Excited. I don't know about y'all, but affirmations get me fired up for my day, and I hope they do the same for you too. Well, it's been an amazing first show, amazing first episode. Thank you for being here with me to celebrate this, enjoy this, to kick this thing off. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend, share this out. Morning, I said Monday motivation. Morning motivation. Like I said, maybe Monday, maybe Tuesday, but hit the notification bell for sure because the time may not always be the same. Depending on what my day is looking like. But you guys have been amazing. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your advice. And for Jamon, pleasure, privilege. I'll see you next time.